Hello, friends, and welcome back to 5 Minutes of Authenticity with Pritha. This is your host, Pritha Lal. I am an authenticity life coach, and I am so privileged to work with individuals whose authenticity has often felt challenged during times of change or life circumstances. And I have had the privilege of learning with them, growing with them, and sharing some of those learnings here through this podcast. If you're here for the first time, welcome. I hope you will stay and subscribe and keep yourself updated with a new episode every Monday. If you have been here before, thank you so much. And then we are with the theme of emotional spring cleaning this April. Usually, friends, I try to pick a theme and go deeper into it. And this theme of emotional spring cleaning is inspired by my beautiful 14-year-old daughter, Parijat, who, in all her wisdom and the old soul that she is since the day she was born, who is teaching me how to honor my feelings, acknowledge them, and then how to let them go without malice, toxicity, and bitterness. The story is of the Beatles Binder that was gifted to her by a friend who later turned very unkind. Pari held on to that folder for a long time. And finally, she was able to let this go. And before she did, she wrote a note so that whoever would receive this folder would have a little bit of an understanding of what it is like to be hurt, what it is like to process that hurt, and what it is like to stand up for yourself, which is what we're talking about today, friends. There is a moment in my daughter's note, and she writes in such beautiful cursive handwriting, where her tone shifts. It moves from a place of tenderness where she's talking about how when you're hurt, you have to let the feelings wash over you, like we talked about last time. But then she moves from this place of tenderness to strength, from this place of softness and almost a little bit of vulnerability to spine. She writes, and I quote again, "Stand up for yourself. Don't let people talk you down. Use your voice," unquote. I remember reading that line and thinking, that is the part of growing up that takes the longest to learn. It is not the ABCs, it's not the math, not the social rules, but the courage to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, this is where I draw the line. Friends, for me, that took 40 years. And here is my daughter at 14 doing that with such grace. When she wrote that note, she wasn't just letting go of a binder, a Beatles binder at that. If you've heard my previous episodes, you know she's a huge fan of the Fab Four. She was also reclaiming something. In that note to that perfect stranger that she's writing as she donates her binder, she's reclaiming her voice, she's reclaiming her worth, and she is asserting her right to take up space. Isn't that remarkable? How children can sometimes articulate truths that adults tiptoe around. We walk around eggshells all the time. How they can name injustice with a clarity that we often dilute. How they can say, "This hurt me," without apology. And how, in doing so, they remind us of the parts of ourselves that we have muted because of social conditioning, family pressures, myriad other reasons. And so when I read that, I was thinking, standing up for yourself is not about confrontation. It's not about a fight. It's about alignment. It's about choosing not to shrink from who you can become. It is about living and breathing your authentic self. It is about refusing to hand your self-worth to someone else for safekeeping. It is about taking back all those permissions we have given the outside world to decide what we should feel and not feel. Boundaries are not walls, friends. They are windows. They open and close with intention. They let in what nourishes us and keep out what harms us. And we have permission to close or open these windows as we choose. My little girl is saying that use your voice, and that is it. Your voice. Use your voice, your true voice. It is part of your emotional home. It deserves to be heard, It deserves to be trusted. It deserves to be acknowledged. It deserves to be used. And most importantly, it is your voice. You decide how you're going to use it. This week, try a simple sentence, one that feels authentic and true in your mouth, one that does not require rehearsals, does not require explanations or apologies. Something as simple like standing up in a team meeting and saying, I am not comfortable with X, Y, and Z. Or this does not work for me. Or you know what? I cannot check emails after 10 p.m. Please do not expect me to do so. Or telling a family member something on the lines of, I need a moment to think. I'm sorry, I cannot agree with you at this point. I'm not sure I can agree with you ever. Small sentences, but they build big muscles. I do the bar form of workout where you take smaller weights and you do multiple reps, and they build what is called the endurance muscles. And every time I think about endurance, I always think about how we endure pain, discomfort, unpleasantness. And we continue to exercise that muscle so much that after a while, it becomes normal. Use it from a different analogy, exactly like that. Use those little muscles, use those small sentences, and build the big muscles where you want to endure for yourself. You want yourself to be at peace. You want yourself to be authentic. Next Monday, we'll open the final part of the note, the part where she signs off with a heart and a peace sign, a Beatles sticker, and the words from me to you. And we will talk about what it means to pass our healing forward. For now, stand where you are, stand as you are. Let your voice rise just a little closer to its true volume. I will see you soon. This is Pritha. You are listening to 5 Minutes of Authenticity. Thank you, friends.